I've been doing this a long, long time. I'm a draft nerd. It feels like teams are getting smarter in the NFL. You know, we used to come in on Mondays and you'd have a handful of teams, half dozen teams. You're like, what are they doing? Cowboys included. I remember the Jerry Jones drafts when they took the, Shante Carvers and the, who was the quarterback? Quincy Carter.
Yeah.
Just terrible draft.
Yikes.
And dopes like me are coming and going, man, what are they doing? I think it's hard to find a bad draft out there. You can probably find a C in certain places if you want, but draft grades are dumb anyhow. But
I would give the Cowboys an A-, maybe B+, A-.
I give them a strong A.
Yeah, I would say they did a great job.
Well, let's run through
a hard grader and give them an A-. I think they did a great job.
Well, and look, they didn't, because we left the show on Friday saying they have to get a running back, and by the time they drafted in the second round, both Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson were drafted. We know 2 running backs went in the first round, so the top 4 were off the board. So Tyler Booker was their pick. Can I say something about Tyler Booker? We talked about him on Friday because he was the number 1 pick. Love this kid. I think he's going to be a heck of a player for them. He was asked at his introductory news conference in Dallas, who is he looking forward to lining up most starting next year? He said, Jalen Carter. I can't wait to bully that crybaby blank.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like the...
I want that attitude.
I like the confidence.
He's already blocked him.
We'll see that.
I can't wait to bully that crybaby. That's what they're drafting. They're drafting a tough guy.
They need that, yeah.
They're drafting a bully to replace Zach Martin. They need that. They want to run the football. I just like that attitude. And he's not afraid of it. That's going to be a great matchup with Philadelphia now. Philadelphia's defensive line is their strength. Now the Cowboys are trying to build the O-line. I can't wait to bully that crybaby blank. Nice job. I like that kid. Second round pick, Boston College edge rusher Dominic Ezeraku. Listen, this kid's a freak, y'all. He was ranked 17th on Pro Football Focus's overall big board. Pro Football Focus, overall big board. He earned a 90.7 PFF pass rushing grade. He had a 26% pass rusher win rate at Boston College. That's Micah Parsons.
Right. This was a projected first rounder
who went 44th. The Cowboys had to take him because the narrative of the Cowboys is, they took the best player on their board. They went with their board, trusted their board, didn't get away from it. And here's the Cowboys' second round pick. Telling you how to pronounce his name. This is kind of cool, a little hype video. But if you're thinking, how do I say this guy's last name?
What's up, Cowboy Nation? It's Donovan Ezeraku here. Can't wait to get down to Dallas and win some ball games and go to work.
Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College. And I want to play this here. How about Brian Baldinger? He does a great job of breaking down tape, Baldy, on Twitter. And here's what he says watching some tape of this kid who's going to play opposite Micah Parsons now and rush the passer.
Donovan Ezeraku right here from Boston College. Cowboys' second pick right here. And his ability to get inside and then like this right here. You see that positioning? Like, he's not Micah, all right? He's not Micah, but he's got an ability to bend and to run and to chase. He's been excellent. Massive production, all right? A stand-up defensive end, 2-point stance, South Jersey kid. Jersey strong, all right? I grew up just off of the bridge of the Walt Whitman Bridge in South Jersey right here. But you watch this right here. Like, watch the spin to win. See that? In the spin.
All right, so he goes through the tape, but likes this kid a lot, and you put him opposite Micah Parsons. As we said through all the lead up to the draft, the Cowboys have to draft impact starters, and I think at 1 and 2 they got that. And then, because Jerry Jones is the GM and he can't fire himself or won't fire himself, he can take a risk like they did in the third round on the cornerback Siobhan Revell Jr.
Who could be a starter if possible. Hey, East Carolina?
Well, this is a kid who was working, coming out of junior college. He didn't have the grades coming out of high school, but he's working at the Amazon Fulfillment Center. Yeah. And then, worked all night and then ended up with a tryout at East Carolina where he got a gig as an older player. But listen, Siobhan Revell Jr., I'll just tell you this about this kid.
Watch some of his tape,
There's a great social media follow for me and a website called the33rdteam.com.
Yep.
And they had him ranked as the 15th overall prospect.
He's really good.
Problem is, you say, well, what happened to him? Well, he got hurt. He hurt his knee in fall camp last year. Jerry Jones has done this a lot, where they'll take a guy they have projected as a first-round pick.
They'll take a stab at a guy.
But they'll go, but he had an injury that dropped him down. And sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. They did it with Sean Lee. Remember the linebacker out of Penn State? He ended up being a great player for them. But they've also missed on some of these guys who come in with an injury history. Jalen Smith, the linebacker from Notre Dame. But they had him as a first-round grade. They took him in a second. Randy Gregory. At some point, Jerry Jones believes he's the too talented. We'll take a chance on it. Siobhan Revell Jr. is that. But he is think about this. He is 6'2". I mean, the Cowboys call him the Condor. He's 6'2". He's got an 80-inch wingspan. He's 200 pounds. The comp he gets is Richard Sherman. who played for the Legion of Boom. Of course, Brian Schottenheimer was there for that.
Shoddy.
But he has a chance to be a big-time cornerback. So I can't criticize that in the third round. I really can't. Now, again, Cowboys are thinking running back, or fans are thinking running back, and you're like, okay, well, there has been a lot of scuttle this weekend that the Cowboys are working on a trade for a running back. The name Breece Hall, the Jets, has been mentioned, but now you're through the draft, so can it happen for next year's draft capital? Aaron Glenn and the Jets are trying to build for the future. That is... I would love to see Breece Hall in a Cowboys uniform. That would be a huge upgrade. But the Cowboys act like they feel good about their running backs. We'll see. They got Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams.
Yeah, I love the Jaden Blue pick in the fifth,
Jaden
right?
Blue. Yeah, Jaden Blue, 5th round. I mean, if he can learn to hold on to the football, I think Jaden Blue's going to be a really good player. He's got that 4.25 speed.
I'll say he brings a whole nother gear of speed they don't have in that running back room.
They took Phil Mafah, the Clemson big back, in the 7th round.
Seen him play.
They'll come in and compete. I like what the Cowboys did, and I really do. I think their draft at the top, I mean, they had to hit on their first 3. And the Ravel, I mean, the third-round pick, Siobhan Ravel, that'll be much looked at because, you think – if he got hurt in August of last year, fall camp ahead of the East Carolina season, he could be ready for the year. But the Cowboys have a lot of guys who are coming into the year uncertain. Like DeVarvion Overshown's probably not going to play. He's injured. Trevon Diggs probably not going to play. He's injured. Now you got this corner, Siobhan Ravel. I like the player. I like the prospect. I like the pick. But if he can't help you early in the year, one of the problems the Cowboys had last year is they got off to such a bad start that you bury yourself. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but, they still have holes. And can Jaden Blue walk in and be a running back? I think he's a nice change of pace, but somebody's got to win the starting job. We'll see if there's a trade in the mix for and the fact that they really didn't take a wide receiver until later in the draft would tell you they must like what they saw in Jonathan Mingo, who they gave up a 4th-round pick for from Carolina. Now, we haven't seen him much, and he was playing with Cooper Rush as the quarterback, and who knows, he didn't know the system when he got to Dallas last October. They must have seen enough, to think he can be a good player for them with Jalen Tolbert opposite CeeDee Lamb. And again, these are all to be determined. But as far as the picks go, I like the picks, and good for Jaden Blue to be a 5th-round draft pick. He is a Dallas Cowboy.
They might have to use Turpin too as well, E. I mean, that was something they started utilizing a little bit as well. But, yeah, maybe they think Mingo's got the talent. I mean, they traded for him. From a physical standpoint, he's got the attributes. Can he be out there and be an impact? Who knows? But overall, I'm very impressed with what Jerry Jones and the Cowboys did in this draft.
Yeah, well, again, the kid Siobhan Ravel, he'll come up and run support. He's a dominant player when he was playing at East Carolina. I mean, he is, like you said, that
physical, length, a 6'2", an 80-inch wingspan. That's exactly that's a guy that can go out and grab a football in the air.
I like what the Cowboys did, but again, they still have holes. Can they fill more?
That wasn't going to change no matter how good their draft was, right? But you had to have a good foundation.
Well, and
here.
The Cowboys would say, to be optimistic, we need Mozzie Smith to really step up in this year. Mozzie, our 1st-round pick a couple of years ago, Mozzie has to become a point of attack defensive tackle because we can't draft all these holes to fill. But we went offensive guard to replace Zach Martin and bring some toughness to our O-line. We drafted an edge rusher to come opposite to replace DeMarcus Lawrence. He comes opposite. And remember, there's a kid named Sam Williams who the Cowboys took out of Ole Miss last year in the 2nd round. He got hurt last year. He was part of one of those rookie injuries. He should come back to give you more depth than on the pass rush side. They re-signed Osio Odigizua. You kind of see where they're going there. They traded for Kenneth Murray at linebacker and tried to upgrade their linebacker position. But, we'll see. I like what the Cowboys did.